Okay, our video is part of a group, multiplying fractions. And this word of, we're going to talk about in a minute. So let's look at an example of multiplying fractions. If I said 4/5 times 3/5. Now in addition, we have a common denominator. But in multiplication, we don't need a common denominator. We could just simply multiply across. This will be 12 over 25. 4 times 3 is 12. 5 times 5 is 25. So in multiplication, we just multiply across. We multiply the numerators and we multiply the denominators. So try this one. What if I said, put a box around that. What if I said 2/3 times 1/8? What do you think? So if we multiply the numerators, we have 2 over 24, which we can reduce to 1/12. Now there's something else we can do right away. Instead of just multiplying the numerators and the denominators, we could reduce right away by cross-multiplying. Not cross-multiplying, but we could find out what number goes into 2 and 8. So 2 goes into 8, we know that. So 2 goes into 2, let's fix that 2. 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 8 4 times. So we reduce that right away. You can reduce diagonally. And then in that case, then you would multiply 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 4 is 12. So let me do another example of that. So let's say we had 3/4 times 8/12. Now again, we can just multiply the numerators and the denominators, or we could reduce right away. So look, 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 12 4 times. So I reduced that diagonally. And look, we can do it the same here. 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 8 twice. Now we multiply across. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 4 is 4. And we can still reduce to 1/2. Okay, you can also see here that 2 over 4 is half. So you could have even corrected that right away. Let's do another problem. So what if I said 5/6 times 2/10? See if you can reduce right away if it's possible, and then find the product. Remember, the answer to multiplication is the product. So we want to find a product. So 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 10 twice. 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. And if you multiply this, 1 times 1 is 1. We'll put it down here. And 3 times 2 is 6, and that's our answer, 1/6. Now, if you didn't do that, I'll use a different marker. 5 times 2 is 10, and 6 times 10 is 60. You would have had that, and you would have had to reduce anyway. So 10 goes into 10 once, and 10 goes into 60 6 times, and we get the same answer. So if you want to, you can reduce right away like we did on top, or you can just multiply across and then reduce later. Now let's talk about the word of I talked about earlier. You might get a question like 4/5 of 20. Well, that's like saying, what is 4/5 times 20? And we put a whole number over 1 always. So of can mean multiplication, especially in this content. It's not always multiplication, though, but a majority of time in math it is. So for now, we're going to say, when we see of, especially when we're dealing with fractions, we'll think of it as multiplication. 4/5 of 20 is like 4/5 times 20 over 1. And then we just multiply. What do you think the answer is? Now I can multiply across, right? We can get 80 on top and 5 on the bottom when we have a mixed number. Or we can reduce right away. So with this mixed number, we're going to get 16. Because 16 times 5 is 80. Now, if we didn't do that, let's use another marker again. We can say 5 goes into 20 4 times, and 5 goes into 5 once. 4 times 4 is 16, and 1 times 1 is 1. 16 over 1 is 16. So again, you can just multiply across or reduce right away. And again, remember, of is multiplication. We'll talk more about multiplication with word problems in the next lesson. Good job.